Fat Boys, this is the latest I've ever been, and it's going to be in just before kickoff. Lots of reasons why. None of them are important. So, you know what? We don't need a fancy intro. We know the deal by now. Let's get on to NFL scores, and then on a huge week 6. We had our 1 and 2 get after it. Let's see how it worked out. Week 6 is come and gone, and by the end of this video, I'll be talking about let's go week 7, and 7 is half of 14. So we are legitimately in the mid-season of our fantasy leagues, which brings a lot of excitement. But also when we look back on a league, I like to think, so what did we learn from this? I did make a small list. Lesson number 1, I think the USA still low-key hates the UK. I don't mean just in like a tariff thing, no political commentary here that I'm really meaning to make. I don't think they go all back to like redcoats, but they just seem to keep sending them garbage teams to play garbage games. I mean, this game, the Broncos and Jets, obviously, is tailor-made for the expression close doesn't necessarily mean good. I mean, we are dealing with a nation that calls a 0-0 game acceptable, and a maybe food choice palette, which doesn't necessarily require a lot of spice to be tasty. So they don't need a lot of action, but you really gave them a wear down. Probably a game that I would be willing to bet, if we're being honest with ourselves, not even fans of the teams were excited to watch. And it's not like it was a surprise. Lesson number 2, a short one, but a sweet one. If you make Las Vegas look good, you will lose your job. Sorry, Callahan, but it had to be somebody to be the first. Tennessee, we'll see how they rebound. Number 3 is more of an or, because there's 2 kind of this could be. Either Penix Envy is legit in Buffalo. I mean, I could also say they like a little Bijan on their sandwich just because Atlanta steamrolled them in a lot of ways. I've been sitting on that Penix joke for a long time, and it's not the last time I'm going to make it. Or should Buffalo be learning that you need to surround Allen with more than just Allen? I know they have that model in KC, and we'll be getting to them in a second, just trust me. But if you look at their roster and where they're spending their money, there are some defensive talented guys, and obviously they want to make sure it's more balanced. Cook is legit, but the window is going to get smaller and smaller. And if you really look at his wife's career, he's going to be in the gym a lot more if his wife keeps having performances next to Michael B. Jordan, because he's got to make sure he's keeping up his end. I mean, the anxiety there must be legitimate. But as a player, you only have so long to capitalize on this. You got to give him a few more weapons. So it could be A, could be B. Last lesson, another A and B. But this one is a little bit more topical. We were talking about the Chiefs, and they are that model. And it's funny to say, but they've been boring for the last couple years. Even though the fact that they win or lose in Super Bowls, we know they went from an explosive offense. They split their money and spend a lot more on defense. So now they're kind of dull, but they're back to exciting this year, and they actually have some receivers, and then Rice is coming off the suspension, so they could be back, but their question is more along the lines of Brian Branch, overreaction, or is this on brand? Now, you got to think about it from Detroit and Casey's perspective. This is an if or. I mean, this is the team that claims to be biting off kneecaps, and yet words still hurt them. So in some ways, you have to acknowledge that that's a little bit of an inconsistent bubble. You can't present yourself as the monsters of the league that can take down everybody except for a few little insults. Or is Mahomes just that freaking annoying with all his hand signs and weird kind of dexterity movements? Honestly, I could see either one, but super rare that someone gets popped in the handshake line. And not even the guy that they say was trash talking. So how that went down, hopefully we find out soon. Still not touching the Sanchez one, so no more lessons to be learned here. Except to kind of tie it all together, we are in a very critical part. Buffalo and Baltimore are on buys. That is going to have some impacts and maybe save some people who've been playing Baltimore people recently. But either way, let's just focus on our league first, because moving ahead to week 7, things are definitely going to get interesting. We asked for an epic matchup, and we kind of got one. I mean, 2 teams went after it, 2 of the higher scores of the week. In fact, Waylon had the highest score of the week. That's why we're talking about him first. And he's number 1. Jake is still number 2, so still a great matchup all around. And actually, if we looked at who had more people in the top 5, Jake won that one. Even if we include his bench, he had the wide receiver 1 in Pickens. We had Scadaboo, which was the running back 4. And if we start putting like take your shirt off and flexing 4 additional points, I mean, he might have climbed up the ladder even higher. Unfortunately, we can keep scrolling down, and Indiana Jones actually was the quarterback 4, but in what universe are you going to put him over Josh Allen? Probably not too many of them. And against Atlanta, I think we all expected a bit more there. So no harm, no foul. No, 12 points difference, not quite. So it's not like it would have shifted it. And Waylon also did leave some points on the bench. That's the crazy thing. I mean, Waylon had the defense one and the tight end two, but he just had a lot of people scoring points, right? Just some 20-pointers. Chase actually doing something finally, although spoiler alert, the Thursday game's already been played. Won't talk about it, but I hope I don't play Waylon next week. And in general, he's just getting points from top to bottom. So if that just keeps up, he might be tough to catch. Now, Jake, I wouldn't shrug too many here. You're still second in the league, and like I said, you're still putting up a fight, so damage control minimal on this one. But hey, we had a 1 versus 2. Let's see if it happens again. In a slightly less balanced matchup, we had Chaz here getting his second win. This actually was a pivotal one. I keep saying it. You know you're going to hear it more as the week goes on. Every win matters, and how many points you score are going to matter. We are a very tight league, and it always has been. So, Horst, I think the hard part for you, you had the tight end one, great play on that one, and he's been a very, very good pickup for you. But Quentin Johnson with the 0, and then if we look, though, you just have had a bum. Like it's the commando. You got nothing in the basement. Now, you do have some people coming back, and possibly Evans and Kittle, so that would be very helpful as you go forward, but that's just not really going to do it for you. So even though you had a couple guys shine through, and I mean, Chargers defense, anytime you're double digits, you're happy with that. But if we're talking about that, that means not a lot is going right. Even Stafford, I thought he was going to light up the Ravens. He definitely did not. On the flip side, Chaz, you had a great week. Some guys even crossing the top 5, namely your running backs are a force. That is running back 1 and 3 on the week, respectively. That enough was going to beat some teams in this league. So throw in that your match, or Caleb getting you some points here, and Ertz being another good pickup, not in the top 5s, but didn't need them in the top 5s. You were doing more than enough. Got a couple receivers here that even if they have off days are getting a whole lot of buzz. So even though the record isn't where you want it to be, you certainly have a lot of players that a lot of us would love to have just outside of the top 6 right now in the playoff hunt. So dangerous as always. Horst, we know you're going to bounce back because with the injuries coming back, who knows what next week holds. This sucks. I mean, having to talk about a loss sucks. I was pretty much at predicted. But I lost to a guy who's not paying attention. And I did reach out. I did send a message. And he did send something back. And then he didn't change anything to do with his roster. I think he was just spiking the ball in my face. CeeDee Lamb is going to come back, and Mark might take him out then. But, man, this sucks. Ladd McConkey was wide receiver 5. You got a Jacobs did great, and he's a running back 5. And you also had the receiver 2 in JSN, and he's great. And Pittsburgh scored a lot of points. And I mean, looking at your bench, Drake May, you have the quarterback 2 just on your bench, just there, getting points. I mean, granted, I could have played Vidal, and that would have been a great move. About 20 extra points would have helped me. In fact, that would have been the difference if I put him in for Cleveland. Why do I put anyone against Cleveland, and why am I going to do it again this week? Probably, haven't decided yet. I did have Drake London go off, which is great. I mean, wide receiver 3, whoop-de-doo, Basil. I had an injury that killed me there. If he would have stepped up, I lost to a guy who's not paying attention. Fantasy sucks, but fantasy's awesome. I don't know. Shut up. On a more positive side, we had 2 teams that are still now in the top 6, so 2 playoff teams getting after it. This could be a preliminary for something we see later on. So, V, congratulations on the win. I almost said on the will, but hey, you know where I'm going with this. Rico Dowdle, running back 2, huge pickup for you this week. Well, not this week, sorry, this season. If he stays up, and there's a lot of people saying, even with Chuba coming back, that just Rico's done too much. How do you not give him the ball? The one bright spot for Carolina, so well done there. Henry actually hit predicted, which was shocking for everybody. And weirdly enough, if you see here, I'm going to say it's essentially defense 2 tied here, right? So 2 defenses getting after it. You both left a few points on the bench, but nothing that's going to really swing it. And Underhill on your side, you just needed your studs, especially like a wide receiver like St. Brown to go off, and he just didn't. Even Cook and Gentry's gone off for you this year. You just didn't have any of the spark that sometimes you've had, and unfortunately, you needed to be overpredicted to win this thing. So for you, though, you didn't fall too far. Obviously, you're still in 3rd place, and you're in that little mound of people we will look at when we get to our actual standings. Big win, though, Will. Might end up factoring later on in the run. We'll see how it goes. But week by week, you're currently, if it ended today, you both would be in the playoffs. So can't be too upset about that. This week in the Somebody Had to Win It Bowl, we had some B on B violence here where, Ben, you just held on. And the crazy part is normally in these matchups, I'm saying, well, nobody was in the top 5. I mean, not many, but we did have the kicker too, and actually we had some points on the defense, or on the bench here. You did have the defense 4 on your bench. That might have helped out, but had you lost, that would have been a big factor. You didn't though, so hey, we're okay. But on the other side, B, you get the quarterback 1, and Mahomes is actually one of the. You got to be celebrating this resurgence of the Chiefs. Offense, but just your running backs and obviously Kincaid not getting anything there and getting hurt. You could have used every point that you could have gotten in this week, and I know that's just redundant to say. I mean, A.J. Brown coming alive, that's a positive for you, buddy. I don't know. Ben, you're on the flip side of the coin here. You're also in that 4-2 mess that we're going to look at in a second. B, you're on the other side, 2-4. This really would have been a big win for you. One you might look back on later because this was very winnable, but no worries. Much more season to play. Injuries, bye weeks, etc. I wouldn't give it up yet, but the Vag Browns... I mean, you said it, buddy. I didn't. Made reference to it a couple times now. Me being the only 3-3, so 500 just now is the playoff marker, but that's going to change because we got some 2-4 and 1-5s who are ready to make a bit of run. That was Flutie Fake's first win, and that's just rubbing it in my face even more. God. Anyway, congratulations to all our people in the 4-2. That is 2 through 5 who are kind of tied up here, and Waylon still maintains his league, both in points total scored and in wins. So currently he's got a little bit of a buffer because you know how the tie breaks go. Let's see what week 7 matchups go, because as we know, the matchup is half the battle in this particular case. I love that we got a 1-3 just after we had a 1-4. Just highlighting it, not because it's me, because it's technically two playoff teams right now. Everything else, I mean, you're going to see some of the points here already. I know people are futzing. It's a little bit later, like I said, so we already have the Thursday scores in there, so I'm not going to speak too much to them. But just to say, from here on in, you're going to hear it week after week. Every point matters. Every win matters. Let's go. Week 7's always a huge week, so it's always good to pay attention. I mean, every week, unless you're Mark, you don't get wins unless you pay attention. That's the last time I'll reference that. Sorry, I know I've been obsessed with that, but come on, you know why. Paying attention to bye weeks, Bills and Ravens owners, you know why, but then upcoming bye weeks. Injuries are obviously in the works here, so I just said every point matters and every win matters, and we definitely know that I mean it. It is not too late for those of you and kind of me that are near the bottom of the table, and certainly no one at the top of the table is guaranteed anything yet until you see that asterisk and you know you made it. So these are the weeks that tend to kind of shape how our playoffs run. Enough said on it. Best of luck, folks.